Hi, everybody. I'm going to be going through a little not test, but the preview yoga class. I just did a live yoga class in a French group, but for any of my students that are interested in taking the class in English, I have done it before where I switch back and forth between the two languages as we go. But if there's enough interest, I could also do the whole class in English. So this is just going to be the class for today. Today is Friday morning. I usually have 2 classes a week. Both of them have the same routine going in them, and we change the routine every week. And so yeah, let's get started. So we're going to do a few sun salutations. Sun salutation is a sequence of postures that we go through, and it works. It's very good for doing a simple warm-up because the postures, we don't hold them for very long. And you might know that holding a static stretch when our muscles are not warm, static meaning we don't move, we hold a stretch for a long period of time, it's not very good for our body. So we do a few dynamic stretches, which means that we're moving in and out of the stretch multiple times to warm up our muscles, so then we can hold the static stretches later. So we'll do 3 of those sequences, and then we will go through a series of different postures. So we'll start at the front of our mat with our feet about hip width distance apart. We keep the back straight, looking forward. You're going to bend your knees slightly, inhale, sweep your arms up, and then unbend your knees and stretch, elongate the body as much as possible. Then you're going to exhale, bend forward, touch your fingers to the ground if you can. If you can't, it's just as fine to come to your calves or higher. If you can get your hands all the way to the ground, then you do that. Then you're going to inhale to come back up to a flat back. So from wherever you are, you come back a little bit higher. It could be up here, could be at your shins. It could still be on the ground, depending on your flexibility. You come up to a flat back, then you exhale, put your hands back on the ground. And we'll try and do this all in the same breath, but initially you'll have to do multiple breaths to do this part of the sequence. So basically we're supposed to exhale, put our hands on the ground, step back into a plank. You can do plank with your knees on the ground, of course. We step back into plank, and then we're going to lower down to the ground. So kind of a reverse push-up down to the ground. Once we're on the ground, we put the tops of our feet back on the mat, and with our hands underneath our shoulders, looking forward, going to inhale and lift the torso up. So you might only be here, that's fine. If you can come up all the way and be stable and not feel a pinch in your back, then that's good too. You're going to inhale from here, exhale, lower back down to the ground. Then you're going to inhale, turn your toes back underneath, like earlier when we did our plank, and lift your hips up to the sky. And you can maybe walk your feet forward a little bit. If you have very tight hamstrings, your heels might be up high off the ground. Try and work them towards the ground eventually. And try and push, think about pushing your hands and your feet apart, like you're trying to stretch the mat. Keep your head between your arms. And breathe here for a second. The next part of the sequence, we're going to exhale and bring our feet back to our hands. So now we're back in that forward fold from earlier. So we're kind of reversing what we did earlier. So now we breathe in up to flat back. We exhale our hands back down to the ground. And then we inhale back up to standing, sweeping the hands up to the sky, reaching up. And exhale our hands down. So we'll repeat that 2 more times, adjusting our leggings as we need to. So again, we bend the knees slightly. Inhale, the hands up to the sky, stretch up. Exhale, fold forward. Hands to the ground. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands to the ground. Step back into plank. Lower down to the ground. Inhale, lift up. Lift the shoulders and torso. Exhale down. Inhale, turn the toes underneath. Lift the hips up to the sky. Take a breath here. On the next exhale, step forward to the hands. Like so. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands to the ground. Inhale, back up to standing. Sweep the arms up, stretch, and bring them down to the sides. One more time. Try and pick up the speed a little bit on this one. Bend your knees, inhale up. Exhale, forward. Hands to the ground. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands to the ground. Step back into plank. Lower down to the ground. Inhale, look up. Exhale, down to the ground. Turn your toes under. Inhale, lift your hips up to down dog. Breathe here for a second. On the next exhale, bring your feet to your hands. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, hands to the ground. Inhale, back to standing. And hands to the sides. Perfect. So now we'll do that sequence of series of postures that I was talking about earlier. So whatever you want to get down there, come down to the ground, starting off on all fours. From here, what you're going to do is put your right foot back. So you're on your toes, like half of a plank almost. And you're going to lift your weight off of the left leg temporarily and bring it forward. So we want the left leg kind of on a diagonal across the mat, and our hands kind of framing the knee a little bit in front. And our right leg is stretched out in the back. If your hips are not flexible enough for this yet, what you can do is come to this position and then slowly lower your left bum cheek to the ground and just support yourself like this. So this is going to be a lot easier on the hip flexors. If this is uncomfortable too, you can also get a pillow or a block, pop it underneath there, and just sit on the pillow. So the weight's not on your hips anymore. It's supported by the pillow. So however you're doing this position, whether it's fully or with a modification, you're going to keep your hands on the ground, looking forward. And if you want to deepen the stretch, you don't have to, you can keep it right here. If you want to deepen the stretch, you're going to walk your hands forward slightly. You can even put your forearms on the ground. So here I'm kind of leaning my weight on that left leg. I'm just going to breathe here for a bit. On the next inhale, you're going to lift back up to your hands if you were lowered down. Get your hands somewhat underneath your shoulders. Turn your right toe underneath, and we're going to come up to that temporary plank again. You can do this on your knee as well, just a little bit harder to get the leg from under you. So lift up, bring that left leg back, and switch it out for the right leg. So same exact thing here. I've got my right calf kind of on a diagonal across my mat. And we could still sit back on the side if we wanted to, put a pillow underneath, whatever you need to do to feel comfortable. None of these positions or postures should hurt. They might be a little bit uncomfortable, which is okay because we're doing new things, but we never want to have any pain. So from here, you either stay up on your hands or you can walk down to your forearms. One more breath here. And on the next inhale, lift yourself back up. Now from here, we're going to do a similar way of switching between postures. Except this time we're going to bring the whole left foot forward. So I'm going to move my hands a little bit over to the right because I want my left foot to be on the outside of my left hand once I'm finished. So I'm going to turn the left toe underneath, lift up, bring that right foot back, and then swing my left foot up to meet my left hand. So I'm in kind of a low lunge here. I'm going to scooch my foot back. I want the knee over top of the ankle. And I'm going to bring my hands down to the ground and my back right calf is down on the ground, as well as the top of the foot. So I'm just going to hang out here for a bit. One more breath here. Then I will support my weight with both my hands. Bring that left foot back. So I'm kind of in all fours again. Move my hands over, make room for the right foot, and bring it forward. Same thing as before. One more breath here. On the next inhale, bring that foot back. We're kind of in all fours again, a little bit extended all fours. We're going to bring our big toes together and separate our knees about the width of the mat. I'm going to set our hips back towards our heels, stretch the hands forward, and put our forehead on the ground. So this is child's pose. It's a resting pose, and you can take this at any point during the class to take a rest, but it should be somewhat active. So we want to be stretching our fingertips away and our hips away in opposite directions. One more breath here. On the next inhale, you're going to lift up just slightly, looking forward, just enough to get your left hand to pass underneath your right shoulder. So the palm is up. I'm leaning my weight on the left shoulder, and I'm stretching that right hand forward, and I'm turning my head to put the left temple on the ground and kind of looking underneath my right arm. One more breath here. On the next inhale, we're going to lift up just slightly, pull that left arm out, stretch it forward, and then do the same with the right hand. So we're passing it underneath the left shoulder, leaning our weight on the right shoulder, and putting our right temple on the ground, looking underneath the left arm. One last breath here. Inhale, bring both your hands forward. Now we're staying in a similar position from here. You're going to bend your elbows slightly and bring your index fingers and your thumbs together. So we kind of make a little triangle in front of our face. From here, you're going to lower your chest down to the ground and put your chin on the ground, looking forward at your thumbs. So we're trying to make the upper back a little bit concave and stretch those shoulder blades away from the body slightly. Trying to open up the chest. Feel a nice stretch in the upper back and shoulders. One last breath here. On the next inhale, lift back up to all fours and find your way to a comfortable seat. So when we're seated, we can either be an easy pose with the legs crossed like so, or we can go ahead and go into half lotus or full lotus, whatever is most comfortable. From here, we're going to inhale, stretch the spine up to the sky. Exhale and hinge at the hips, leaning forward as far as you can go without collapsing forward. So the back is still straight. And hold here. On the next inhale, walk your hands back up to your legs, sit back up. And however you have your legs crossed from here, switch them. So I have one leg on top, but you might just have one leg in front. You're just going to switch which one is in front. One direction is going to feel a lot more easy than the other. And that's why we want to make it equal to make sure we have the same flexibility on both sides. So from here again, inhale, extend the spine, reaching your head towards the sky. Exhale, hinge at the hips and walk your hands forward, go to whatever level. If you're just here, that's fine. Go to whatever level you can do while keeping the back straight. You don't only be collapsing forward like so. Good, one more breath here. On the next inhale, walk your hands back up to your legs. And we're going to stay seated, and we're going to keep one leg crossed, and the other leg is going to come behind us. If this hurts at all on the hip or on the knee, I want you to take your foot further away from you. And if you can, we're going to try and bring the foot closer. So it might be with the back of the foot on the ground, or it might be turned out like this. Both are fine, but we don't want to feel any kind of torquing or pain in the knee. From here, we're going to twist our chest slightly to the left so that the center of our chest is somewhat aligned with the direction that the knee is pointing in, should say. Again, going to be doing the same thing as we did earlier. We're going to inhale with a long back, and we're going to exhale, hinging forward, but keeping the back flat. So you can be on your fingertips or with your hands on the ground. We're just kind of leaning the stomach on the thigh. One more breath here. And on the inhale, walk your hands back to your leg, come back to center. Same thing, other side. We're just going to switch the legs around like so. Breathe in, turn the chest towards the right knee. Exhale, hinge forward, and lay the stomach on the thigh. One more breath here. And on the next inhale, walk your hands back to your leg. From here, we're staying seated again. We're going to stretch out our legs in front of us with them wide as possible. If we're here and we don't feel a stretch in the inner thigh, you can scooch yourself forward slightly like so, just to get them a little bit wider. So same idea, we're going to be folding forward. You're going to inhale, straight back. Keep your knees and your toes pointing in the same directions. And you're going to exhale, walk forward slightly without letting your legs collapse. So if you're still upright and you try and lean forward and your legs collapse in like this, then don't lean forward. Just that's more important that the legs stay straight. If you can walk forward, then go ahead and do that. All of these postures, if we're not able to go completely into them and do the maximum of the posture, it's still very beneficial, and you'll still eventually get to the point where you can do it fully. So don't be afraid to modify as long as you're keeping good alignment. One last stretch here, or one last breath here. And on the next inhale, we sit back up, bring our legs together, and we'll find ourselves on our backs, like so. From here, you're going to bring your knees up to your chest. You don't have to hold them necessarily. Just try and keep your calves parallel with the ground. Put your arms out in a T, straight out from the shoulders, keeping your shoulders away from your ears. Inhale, and on the exhale, keep your legs stuck together and let them drop to the left. If they don't make it all the way to the ground, that's fine. You can also get a pillow or a block and rest them on the pillow or the block if it's too much to go all the way to the ground. So find wherever your ideal placement in this posture is, and breathe there. On the next inhale, using your core muscles, bring your knees back to center. And on the exhale, let them fall to the right. Whoops, knocking my stuff over. Keeping both shoulders on the ground and looking straight up. On the next inhale, bring your knees back to center again. We're going to do a couple more postures that are similar to this one. So from here, you're going to keep your legs stuck together and your feet together and just lower your feet down to the ground. So our feet are flat on the ground, our knees are bent, and our legs are zipped up together. Shoulders stay the same, our arms are out in T's, and you're going to keep one foot stacked on top of the other. So only the left foot right now is going to be touching the ground, and you're going to exhale and let your knees fall to the left again. So same thing, if they don't go all the way, that's fine. You can put something underneath them, support them while you practice to be able to put them on the ground. And you can see my right foot's not touching the ground anymore, but it's stuck on my left foot. Take a couple breaths here. And on the next inhale, bring your knees up to center. Both feet are on the ground. Exhale, stack the left foot on top of the right and let the knees fall to the right. Take a few breaths here. One more time. And on the next inhale, bring your knees back to center. So one last posture similar to these two. You're going to keep your knees bent, but separate your feet so that they're just a little bit wider than your hips. So probably about mat distance apart. From here, you're going to breathe in again, and you're going to exhale and drop your knees to the left. So we have kind of a squiggly line thing going on here, where there's one leg in front of the other, but they're both bent and both leaning to the right, to the left, sorry. One more breath here. On the next inhale, lift your knees back up to center, and exhale, let them drop to the right. One more breath here. And then next inhale, bring your knees back to center. Excellent. So from here, we're going to take our time to come up to a seated position, however you want to get up there. Seated position can be either cross-legged like earlier, or you can come around on your calves or your shins like this, sitting down on your heels, whichever one is more comfortable. There's not one that's better than the other. We're going to be focusing right now on our shoulders. So I'm just going to turn a little bit so you see better. So from here, the back is nice and straight. I'm speaking for English today. The back is nice and straight, reaching the top of the head to the sky. Our shoulders are rolled down and back. On an inhale, we're going to sweep our arms up to the sky, interlace our fingers, and turn the palms up. So from here, we want to make sure we're not doing this. We don't want to shrug our shoulders up to our ears. So the shoulders are still down and back. And we can make kind of a circle like this. And then you're going to stretch your arms up by extending your elbows. But again, we're not shrugging the shoulders up. The shoulders are down and back, and the palms are up. From here, you can just look up or straight forward, or you can arch your back just slightly and bring your hands back. One more breath here. Release your fingers and let your hands drop back down to your sides. Excellent. We'll do a little side stretch from here. You're going to bring your right hand down to the ground. Lift your left hand up and let your left arm flop over your head. From here, you can make sure you're not letting your neck hang all the way and your right shoulder is not shrugging up as well. But from here, you can look forward or you can turn your head up and look towards the crook of your elbow. One more breath here. Then inhale, sweep your left arm back up, lower it down to the ground. We're switching sides right away. Right arm up, let it flop over your head, and you can look forward or up to the crook of your elbow. And again, we don't kind of slouch into our left shoulder, keep it extended fully. One last breath here. And on the next inhale, sweep your arm back up and lower it back down. One last posture. From here, again, a straight back. You're going to interlace your fingers behind your back, like so, keeping your elbows bent. Shoulders are away from the ears. Looking forward, back is straight, and you're going to slide your hands down your back, opening your chest and rolling your shoulders back. So it should look somewhat like this. If you have trouble getting your hands together behind your back, you could hold something. It could be a sock or a scarf, or if you have a yoga strap, that works too. If not, you keep your hands together, opening up the chest. From here, if you can, if this is enough, you stay here. If you can, then you're going to arch the back a little bit, open up the chest and look up. Don't let your head drop all the way back. You're just looking slightly up towards the ceiling. Just hold this for one more breath. And on the next inhale, release your hands and bring them back to your sides. So that was it. That is a typical yoga class. If you're interested in taking classes, they're drop-in classes. There's no obligation if you sign up to continue. So you can just come whenever you feel like it, and you only pay for the classes that you take. So let me know if you have any questions. I hope you enjoyed this class and have a great day.